What's up, guys? Today we'll be changing out the auxiliary battery in my W164 ML63. This process is more or less the same on any W164, from any ML to any GL. They pretty much all have their aux battery in the same place. Now, to do this process, you need to first remove the main battery, which I already have a video about, so I'll link that down below. As a result of which, this video will not be comprehensive from that perspective, as I've already removed some brackets for the main battery. Essentially, there's a plastic bracket that goes on top, along with another sort of air vent duct that takes air from the front of the car. First things first, we'll disconnect the battery at the negative terminal, and then of course the positive terminal, which is sort of hidden below the carpet. You can see better over here, that's where the positive terminal is. With this plastic cover just a little bit in the way, we can pop this guy off and you get full exposure to the contact points. If you have never removed this battery before, you have to cut the carpet. You can see right over here where it's been cut to actually get access to it. And the seat must be all the way forward and pushed all the way up to get the most easiest access. In the R class, I believe the seat actually must be removed and cannot be left in place like this, unfortunately, which makes things a bit more complicated. But for this case, we can just kind of push the seat forward. But let's get started. The aux battery is actually hiding right over there. You can kind of see it there. All right, so both terminals are off, along with this vent tube, which unfortunately broke. I have a new piece coming in the mail soon. There should be a right angle piece that connects the vent port on the battery over here. This did break off when I took out the old battery, unfortunately. But we have the bracket off down there. You can see the nuts are loose. Here's the bracket. This holds down the whole battery. And now to actually remove this battery, I kind of pull it up on one side and kind of tilt the entire thing backwards to make it easier to come out. This is not the easiest thing in the world. These things are super heavy. The positioning is awkward. You will cut your hands up a little bit, but it's okay. Yeah, just gonna get this guy out now, and then we'll get to the auxiliary battery down there. There we go. Okay, big battery is now out of the car, and we can get a better look at our aux battery down on the floor. And you are supposed to take off that little plastic nut down there, and the entire bracket for the aux battery comes out. But instead, what some people do is simply just kind of pull back on this tab, release the actual clips, and then the entire thing just kind of slides out of there. There we go, both positive and negative are off this aux battery. And it can come on out of here now. Here's the old aux battery out of the car, and if we look closely, you can kind of see a print that says 0408, which I believe means April of 2008, which pretty much aligns perfectly with when this car was built, which means this is the original auxiliary battery, which means it has lasted quite a long time. So while I could have paid about $60 to get another OEM style battery, pretty much the exact same thing for this car, my buddy Anderson told me about this guy over here. He put this in his ML63 a while back. This essentially will do the exact same job. It's a little bit more powerful, 1.3 amp hours versus 1.0. And this guy's actually an AGM battery versus the traditional lead acid battery. So this should last, in theory, longer. Well, this one did last 16 years, so can't really complain about that. But this guy over here is a little bit different. It's barely different in terms of dimensions. You can see it's a little bit narrower and just a hair taller, but really nothing to talk about. This will fit just fine in that same space. And in fact, Anderson didn't even change the ports over here, or the pins rather, for connecting to the car. You can see on the original battery, the pin for the negative is smaller and the pin for the positive is larger. I want to say it's R1 versus R2. Don't quote me on that. I can't remember the exact details, but I'll put them in the description below. This guy, both ports, or both terminals, I should say, are the smaller size, which I think are R1. There's just a cover on the positive there. You can see they're both the same size. They do sell adapters to make this the same size. Now, Anderson didn't actually do this. He just left it as it is because they were snug anyways, and it was fine. But to be safe, I have these little adapters here to put on the positive to make it the exact same size as stock, and we should be good to go. And to make life easier, I'll do the same thing Anderson did, which instead of having the connector sort of face inward towards the outside of the car, I'm going to have these facing inwards so we have easier access in case you disconnect it for whatever reason. It's better to have it that way, in my opinion. So we'll do that right now. We'll get this adapter on there real quick, and then we should be back in business once the main battery is back in the car. I should also mention this costs about half the price of a new one. I bought this from Batteries Plus, I think Battery Plus Lamps, in Ventura, California, but of course they have several locations across the country. But wherever you get it, this is the model number over here, and this should serve you pretty well. If not, the OEM battery will also be just a fine solution as well. These R2 adapters came in a set of 2. You only need one of those, so I'm just gonna slide this guy on. And once we have that firmly on place, we can put it back in the car. Well, you can see we have the auxiliary battery reconnected. I did put some electrical tape over the contacts just because I noticed, probably makes sense now why it's installed the other direction in the original case. But when you have the positive terminal off the battery, there is a possibility of that metal connection actually bridging the two, the positive and negative on the aux battery. So to prevent that from happening, I just put some tape over it to make sure that doesn't happen. Now, honestly, if I were to do this again, I'd probably just put the battery the other way around as it was from factory, just to make sure that would never happen anyways. But if you do it this way like I did for better access, this will do just fine as well. Not the pretty solution, but it'll work just fine. If you use an OEM battery, you can do exactly the same as OEM, and you will not have a problem at all. Everything else is now reconnected. The car is setting the clock right now. Well, guys, that wraps up this video, and I will see you in the next one. If you guys like this video and all my content so far, check out sta-industries.com and check out all the German car apparel I have, especially M156 stuff. I have license plate frames, cool hoodies, sweaters, high-quality stuff with nice embroidery. Check it out. You won't regret it. I'm always posting new stuff on the website, including ML stuff coming soon, specifically ML63 engine rebuild stuff, as it's pretty relevant to what I'm doing right now. But yeah, check out what I already got in there. Lots of cool M156 stuff that I really enjoy wearing while I work on my cars. There is also other Mercedes stuff already up there, like for my SL500, M119 stuff, including a lot of BMW apparel as well, so go check it out.